Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a science fiction comedy film, Virtuosity. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. In the city of Los Angeles, Parker and his colleague are tracing down a serial killer at a restaurant in the virtual reality world, where they locate the suspect Sid, the most sadistic, intelligent and dangerous VR killer throughout the history. After a fierce gunfire, the colleague is caused into shock, while Sid wants to take a hostage for cover. Parker kills the hostage and shoots Sid. However, as Parker walks closer, he only finds that the hostage being shot dead is actually his colleague. Right at that moment, Sid makes his attack from nowhere and controls Parker with his fingers piercing through Parker's wound. Meanwhile, in the real world, Parker and his colleague suffer great pains due to the overload to their nerve system. In fact, this is a virtual reality system, which is developed for the police to train their employees in fighting against the criminals. But unexpectedly, some unknown technical issue happens to the system, resulting in the death of the colleague. Because of that, the project's supervisor orders to shut down the project. Dave is very frustrated, for he makes lots of efforts in developing the whole VR training system. Although Parker survives the accident, he is cuffed up again by the police. As Parker unveils the tricks used by Sid, and is about to show the evidence in the computer, Dave, however, stops him immediately. Not long after that, Dave accuses virtual Sid of the murder in the virtual world, because he actually knows Sid has changed the nerve system parameters secretly, which exactly causes the death of a policeman. Sid, who seems to enjoy the feeling of his first killing, however, only responds in indifference to the accusal. He even goes further and proposes Dave release him out of the virtual world. It's revealed that Parker is actually a former police officer, but was found guilty and sent into prison due to his private execution of a gangster who killed his wife and daughter. He's just taken out temporarily from jail to join the VR training project. On the other side, enraged and disappointed by the aborted VR system, Dave chooses to accept Sid's proposal and attempt to free Sid out of the VR world. He then seduces the technician with a horny lady program and makes the technician believe that he can bring the horny lady to the real world by having its personality implanted in a physical body. Believing that he's going to meet the programmed sexy lady in the real world soon, the technician bites the bait and starts to download her personality. While Dave, however, takes the chance to exchange her personality chip with Sid's. As a result, Sid is brought into the real world. As he forms its physical body, he kills the shocking technician immediately, before appreciating such a masterpiece of himself. After knowing that the virtual serial killer Sid has escaped out of the virtual world, the police negotiate with Parker on the hunting mission in exchange for his freedom. With that promised, Parker takes the mission. But to avoid his escape, the police have him implanted with a tracker. Not long after that, Parker and the assistant set out to the crime scene directly, where he notices that Sid commits the crime by copying the way from other murderers. They head to Dave's house later for more personality details about Sid. They find out that Sid is built with a self-learning program, which enables him to mimic many different personalities of criminals, surprisingly even the one who killed Parker's wife and daughter. On the other hand, Sid wanders to a local bar, where he attempts to enjoy the mass killing before the camera and the public. Right then, Parker shows up and shoots Sid, causing some damage to his body. Sid runs away from the bar, and skillfully gets rid of the hunters chasing behind. On the second day, learning of the news from the television, Sid becomes to admire himself in such a masterpiece just done. Right now, he really enjoys the bloody killing before the public. Later, based on the subsequent personality analysis, Parker knows that Sid may have headed to the wrestling show, so he rushes there. While during that time, Sid surrounds himself with a crazy audience at the stadium, and it turns out he lights up the whole show by throwing a guy down to the stage badly and kidnaps a girl before the camera, trying to challenge Parker, who's coming for him. Right at that time, a security guard shows up and blows his arm off. But it can never stop Sid, who just jumps to the stage and starts to enjoy the cheer-up from the fanatical audience. However, noticing Parker shows up, Sid has to stop his fanatism and runs away. intending to play the hide-and-seek with Parker. Later on a train, Sid kidnaps an innocent girl and kills her. But he tricks the public to believe that it's Parker who shoots the girl, causing Parker to be arrested by the coming police. Seemingly satisfied by his success in humiliating Parker in that way, Sid then vanishes by the train. Trying hard to argue that Sid sets him up though. Parker, however, could not find anybody to believe him. But right after Parker is confined into the police car, Sid sets him free intentionally, for Sid has got addicted to the bloody show, and never wants the game to be finished so soon. He even tells Parker that the tracker implanted in his body is actually toxic, intending to keep Parker alive for the following game. With his life in great danger, Parker explains to the assistant that Sid sets him up. Upon knowing the truth, the police director rushes to the control center, destroys the computer before the toxic tracker is activated, and saves Parker's life finally. But not long after that, Sid escalates his terror attack on innocent people. He kills all of the staff of a TV station and takes control of it. Parker and the assistant make their way to the station, where the assistant, however, learns that Sid has kidnapped her daughter. As Parker rushes through the bullet rain into the building, the assistant happens to see Dave, the developer of Sid. She threatens Dave to tell her where's her daughter, but to no avail, because even Dave never knows Sid's plan. After getting into the broadcast center, Parker shoots Sid with heavy gunfire, which slows down his escape. The two then confront each other and fall into a fierce, bloody dogfight. Eventually, Parker manages to overpower Sid and bashes him into the glass. With his body sliced into pieces though, Sid, however, absorbs the glass fiber to recover his body soon and holds Parker's neck tightly, attempting to suffocate him to death. Right at that critical moment, Parker manages to pull out his personality chip behind his head, which suddenly shuts down Sid and stops his body from recovering. Meanwhile, the assistant takes Dave there, who just warns that she can never rescue her daughter after Sid is destroyed. But luckily, Parker figures out a plan. They enter the virtual world later, where they find Sid, who's believing that he's still in the real world. Sid kills Parker easily, feeling exciting as the final winner of the game. He turns arrogant, and even tells the assistant where her daughter is confined. But upon seeing Parker comes alive before him again, Sid realizes that he has been sent back to the virtual world. At the time when the assistant is taken offline, however, Dave takes a chance to kill the police director, attempting to free Sid. Fortunately, right before Sid regains control and is about to kill Parker in the virtual world, the assistant wakes up and kills Dave instead. Once offline from the virtual world, Parker takes out Sid's personality chip immediately. At the end of the story, the police save the daughter and set Parker free as promised, while the personality chip of the demon Sid is thrown onto the street and torn into pieces. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Bye.